Welcome to JavaScript The Basics. In this section of the course, we're going to look at several JavaScript building blocks. In this lecture, we're going to start with variables. What is a variable? JavaScript variables are containers for storing data values. Variables are named containers that you can place data in and then refer to the data by the naming the container. Let's look at some code to see how to declare a variable, what a valid variable is, and naming best practices. Here we have var transportation equals the string car. Later we'll put this into the console in the lab and see what happens. But let's break down this line of JavaScript first. We have the keyword var. In JavaScript, there are keywords that are reserved words, letting the JavaScript interpreter know what you want to do. Here the keyword var lets the JavaScript interpreter know that you are declaring a variable. Next, we have the variable name. This is sometimes called the identifier or the target. In our case, we're giving the variable the name transportation. Now let's look at how to name variables and best practices. We'll start with some invalid variables first. Invalid variables begin with a number. Anywhere else in the variable is fine, we just can't start with a number. Invalid variables contain a JavaScript keyword. As we saw earlier, var is an example of a JavaScript keyword, making it an invalid variable name. Invalid variables contain a space between words. Now, let's look at some ingredients for valid variable names. Names must begin with a letter, upper or lowercase, but it can also begin with a $sign and also with an underscore. Let's look at two best practices for naming variables. The first, Camelcase style. Camelcase is the preferred method because of its ease of readability. Because JavaScript doesn't allow variables to have spaces, it can make reading variables a challenge. This is where Camelcase comes to the rescue. The first word is all lowercase, and the remaining words all capitalize the first letter. Another best practice tip is for your code to be human readable. Name variables for those who come after you, and this applies to all of coding. Yes, computers are very picky and require things to be done in a specific way, and so we write for them. But we also write for those who come after us, after our task of starting a project, building a feature, or fixing a bug. Your variables and your whole of code should always keep in mind that you are coding for human readability. So when possible, a variable should describe the kind of data the variable holds. Think of moving. You take all the articles of your home and you put them in boxes. For instance, if you pack up your kitchen, you might write kitchen or dishes on the box instead of X, which may be faster to write and take less ink, but you wouldn't know the best place to unpack the box in your new home based on the label. Let's look at an example. var x equals 25 is not as helpful as var apples from tree equals 25, even though the code is shorter. Less code doesn't always equal better code. As you progress farther into JavaScript, there will be tools you can use for production to minimize your variables and shorten your code. Now let's go back to our original line of code. The equal sign is an assignment operator. We will look at operators in a later video. For now, it says that you are going to assign a value to the variable. This is also used to update a value given to a variable. Until a variable is assigned a value, it is uninitialized, and its value is undefined. Now let's close by looking at JavaScript as an unscripted, dynamic language. This means that you don't have to define what the variable type is. You don't have to tell the variable transportation that car is a string. It knows it. You don't have to tell the variable pass lie detector that false is a boolean. It knows it. And you don't have to tell the variable grocery bill that it is a number. The JavaScript interpreter will know what to do with the value that you pass to it. This is called dynamic typing. If we do a type of operator on all of our variables, JavaScript will tell us that transportation is a string, pass lie detector is a boolean, and grocery bill is a number type. There you have it. Thanks for looking at variables with me, and let's head into the lab to put what we have learned into practice.